Hi friends, my name is Kim. Welcome to Healing Cottage Homestead. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm so happy to have you with me today. Today we are going to make cabbage roll soup, and I've already browned some ground beef. I did that last night. And so now we're going to cut up some cabbage and add to our soup, or to our pot. It's not yet soup. This looks like a very straightforward, easy recipe, and that's what I'm looking for, especially if I'm not going to use the slow cooker. I don't want to have to cook this all day long, and this says that you let it simmer for 25 minutes or until the rice is cooked. We are going to use a little bit of rice, not a lot. I'm going to make one modification from the recipe though. I'm not going to add the brown sugar that it calls for. I'm not sure why it calls for brown sugar. I thought maybe it was like regular cabbage rolls where you add sauerkraut, but it's not. They don't add sauerkraut. So I'm not sure what the reasoning is for the brown sugar. And it calls for 3 tablespoons, so that's a lot of brown sugar, in my opinion, that we don't need. Once we cut this up, we're going to cut up a little bit of onion. And I'm making a half recipe, or not even a half probably. It calls for 1 pound of ground beef, and I probably have a half a pound. And it calls for a whole cabbage, and I think I'm going to use about that much. I think that's about perfect. We'll add some onion. Going to add some garlic. It calls for 1 onion, 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, a little bit more. Okay, just a little bit more for good measure. And then it calls for, this is another area where I'm going to actually cut a little bit more cabbage. Another area where I am going to deviate, it calls for 4 cups of beef broth, and I am going to put a can of beef broth in, and it calls for 3 8-ounce cans of tomato sauce. And I always make cabbage rolls with tomato juice, so I'm going to add tomato juice. But I'm going to also add some tomatoes. I'm going to add some pepper. Salt, and it calls for a half a cup of uncooked rice. So I think we'll just add about that much. just want a little bit of rice. We don't want to use a lot. And that is all of the ingredients. So you have your ground beef that is cooked, salt and pepper, onion, 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, 4 cups of chopped green cabbage, 2 carrots. It does call for 2 carrots, and I'm not going to use carrots. I don't have any. 4 cups of beef broth, 3 8-ounce cans of tomato sauce, half a cup of uncooked long grain rice, 1 bay leaf, 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, and 2 teaspoons of parsley. So I am going to put a lid on this, and we are going to let this cook for, it says, for 25 minutes or until the rice is tender. So I will put a lid on it, and then we will come back in about 25 minutes. Okay friends, it's been a little bit longer than 30 minutes, but I will say this has reduced down quite a bit, so you definitely don't want to skimp on the beef broth. But it looks lovely, smells lovely. It is very, very hot. Tastes like a cabbage roll. I definitely would add sauerkraut to it. I like my cabbage rolls with sauerkraut, so I'm missing that element, but otherwise it is very, very good. I would probably add, when I reheat this, I probably will add some water to make the broth a little bit thinner. But otherwise I think it is perfection. And let's talk about the nutrition elements. So we're looking at just 263 calories in a bowl. This recipe has 24 grams of carbs. However, that would have been with 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. So we can remove the carbs from the brown sugar, and you know, we're probably looking at least maybe 18 grams of carbs, something around that, because we do have the little bit of rice in here, but it's not enough. Like I said, it's not a huge amount of rice. It's just enough. Protein is 19 grams, and cholesterol is 49 milligrams, and fiber is 2. So even if we are at 18 carbs, we would be looking at a net carb of 16. So I don't think that's bad at all. It's very delicious. Even with a smaller version of the recipe, I have enough for quite a bit. I will probably freeze some of it. And yeah, then I'll have it for different meals. So I'm pleased with this recipe. If you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel, Healing Cottage Homestead. I post diabetic friendly recipes every Tuesday and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I really enjoyed our time together today, friends, and I look forward to cooking with you again soon. Take care.